look, that's very nice. Boy, it really pays to put the joy buzzers on the seats, doesn't it? It's him! That's very nice of you, but, you know, instead of applause some night, how about a nice curtsy? That was a nice reception tonight. Was that for me, or have you been buying gold lately? Anyway, I'm Johnny Carson, your comedy leader, and I need the help of you people of America tonight. I'm appealing to you directly for the acceptance of my monologue, and in order to achieve complete independence from foreign guest hosts. Worked for Carter, but I forgot the, you know. You notice the president's apparently the president's been taking speech lessons. Because the last one, he was very forceful, you know, when he wants to make a point about it. We should stand together. Except it's always just a half a beat off, though. We should stand together. Next fighting. Don't tell me we did it and wore the same suit. Is that?
Well, my other one's in the cleaner.
Never thought I'd see the day. That's your best looking suit.
I was about to say the same thing to you. But I didn't say it.
But you didn't say it, right. This is the Tonight Show, the 90-minute program that comes into your bedroom and gives you something to do if you skip foreplay. Now, I know, come on. I know a lot of you are on vacation out here, and because the president has asked us to conserve energy, a lot of people don't want to drive, but there are a lot of things to do out here locally that are a lot of fun. Last night I mentioned, for example, that they're opening a new park out here, Squirrel Country Safari. And, for example, because you love that so much, but there are a lot of walking tours of Burbank. Believe it or not, that are good. That you see the landmarks here in Burbank, and one of the highlight is the first Jack in the Box. Was erected in 1951, and it's preserved with the aid of private contributions. Or it's not. And 2 blocks from here is the birthplace of Earl Blitzer, known as the father of Burbank. And Earl authorized Burbank's tough zoning laws, which only allows 4 taco stands to a block. Did you know that? Very tough. Anyway, we keep saying welcome to Hollywood. Have you been to Hollywood, tourist yet? It's see a lot of strange humanity up in Hollywood nowadays. I don't know any place in the world you'd see a girl in platform shoes walking the street holding a sign that says, "I accept Susan B. Anthony dollars." You would boo a new coin, folks? You know, that is not going over well at all. As you know, the Treasury came out with a new dollar, which is about the size of a quarter. And it has the likeness of Susan B. Anthony, I guess, who was the famous suffragette who got the women's vote. Anybody see the new dollar at all? Yeah. A lot of it's going to be a bust, I think, like the $2 bill. People are refusing to accept it. And the women's movement is very touchy about the Susan B. Anthony coin. They're trying to get a law in the books. Would make it against the law for a man to flip the coin and say heads or tails. Very touchy about it. I have a late bulletin from the newsroom. Yes. President Carter just asked White House Chief of Staff Hamilton Jordan for an appointment to see himself. I said it was a late bulletin, not a funny bulletin. How many, speaking of things to do, how many of you took the NBC tour today? They have a tour here. Did you? No, I don't know. What does that cost? I see a disgruntled visitor here. No, really, I don't know. $2.25. And you think the Arabs are bad? Nice little racket. What do they show you for that? Are you telling me the tour was not worth $2.25? Come on. Look, it's a wonderful tour. Did they take you out and show you them feeding the game show hosts? I'm only kidding. Kidding is my business. Kidding is my business. And I think I'll burn it down sometime and collect the insurance, but that's another story. No, you see some great things on the NBC tour. You can go to the carpentry shop and over here and see where they're still dismantling all the sets from Don Rickles' Pilots. They'll show you Rip Taylor killing his toupee with a roach bomb. You can see David Horowitz stuck to the ceiling over here with magic glue. There, all kinds of things. Today's an anniversary. I'll bet none of you remembered. Today is the anniversary of the post office. The postal system of the United States was established this day 204 years ago in 1775. And on that day, the very first letter was mailed to a colonial family in Boston. That's right. And to celebrate the anniversary, today the post office delivered that letter. A great system. Yeah. No, the United States Post Office is working very hard to speed up the service, and their goal is to have all of the mail arrive at your home, the personal mail, arrive as quickly as that addressed occupant. That's their goal. It's not my goal. Today, also, I'm just filling you in on little things that happened on this day. Today is the birthday of George Bernard Shaw. Yes, that's right. The famous. He was Irish, of course, born July 6th on this date, and George Bernard Shaw is probably most famous for keeping Rex Harrison working. Okay, I got a peek here soon. See, I do a couple of jokes like that just to give you a little breathing room. Because if every joke is big, you're going to laugh yourself out before the show. So once in a while, I'll do it by intention. Yeah. We'll do a couple of jokes that I know personally are not going to get a reaction.
They're very well rested.
Yeah. That's what I was saying to Durwood Kirby earlier today. Always admired Durwood's work and not doing a lot. He says, "How are you?" And I says, "Maybe an opening soon." Sooner than I thought. I mean, no. How many of you saw President Carter's press conference yesterday? Okay, outside of the Carter family, how many saw? It was televised by all the major networks in prime time. And only that many people?
Not at Disneyland.
You were at Disneyland. The president's press conference preempted Charlie's Angels. But, yeah. Look, I want to say his shakeup was not nearly as exciting as theirs. Another resting time. Here's one you may like. The Ayatollah Khomeini is at it again. You know, I mentioned last night he has banned all music in Iran. Really, all music on radio, television, and nightclubs. And today, he ordered the White Rock Bottling Company. Are you famous with familiar with their famous trademark? The little nude girl on the cover of the soft drink? The White Rock girl. He ordered them to remove her from the label. I don't quite understand what's going on over there. Today, he got a little carried away. He executed the puppy that pulls down the little girl's shorts in the Coppertone ad. So we got a lot of strings on the show tonight. String players, right? He's just for tonight?
One night only.
That's what I said, just for tonight. String players, you ever work the string players? They're not the best audience, you see. They feel they're a little above guys who work in, say, a band because they're used to working with the symphony. And when you do jokes for guys who play strings, tough. Sitting over with a little bag of rosin, you know. Making that up. Oh, some more politics. Lieutenant Governor in California is Mike Curb. He and Jerry Brown do not really get along too well. And Lieutenant Governor Mike Curb said yesterday he did not think Jerry Brown would make an able president. See, Jerry Brown, I don't think, trusts Mike Curb either. As a matter of fact, I heard a rumor that he is having a detective follow Mike Curb wherever he goes. You imagine that? It's the first instance of a man dogging his curb. You folks didn't boo when I was holed up in a cave in Guam. Of course, that was after the war anyway, and I just had a nurse from the supply department, and we holed up in his cave, but you didn't boo then. Anyway, we have we have a real good show for you tonight. No, we really do. This will be the highlight of your tour. Because this doesn't cost. You get in here for free, right? Okay. And you're gonna get exactly what you paid for. No, we have the beautiful Diane Carroll. For free. Yeah. From Superman, Christopher Reeve is here. Yeah. A young comedian, very funny gentleman, been with us before, Tony Delia is here. And our sweetheart. She's of all the actresses in Hollywood, I think I'm more fond of Marie Earle because she's going to be 90 years old this spring, and she is a delight. Marie is with us tonight, and just because you're in such a good mood, the mighty Carson art player. Well, okay. We are back. We got a good audience. Woo!
A little sip of coffee.
That's all it is. People always assume you have
And this is iced tea.
booze or something, and all the jokes I've made about Ed.
But that is iced tea.
It's iced tea. You cannot drink while you do a show like this.
No. Well, you can. But
Remember years ago when we first brought the show out to California, when we were traveling, and we'd come out here 2 or 3 times a year, we thought it'd be nice to put a courtesy bar for the performers backstage, which we did for a while. I don't think I've ever told this on the air before.
No.
Remember what happened?
yes, I do.
And Marlon won't mind my telling the story, I'm
No.
sure. And Marlon Brando, we had champagne. And Marlon was the last guest on the show. And I still remember that Zsa Zsa Gabor was
Right.
out here. And Marlon sat back there, and for about an hour and a half,
Had a lot of courtesy.
which is a lot of courtesy. Well, he walked out, it was about 20 of 1.
Yes.
And it looked like a guy doing a very bad impression of Marlon Brando.
Just something like this. He walked out
And he stood over here for a while, and I gave him a big introduction, and he went,
boy, he says his lights are really bright, aren't they?
and I say to myself, we are in for a long
evening.
trip tonight. And he sat down. I wish we had that show on tape. We do not have it.
No.
And he turned on Zsa Zsa Gabor. She was talking about something. She said, you know, darling, I have this new... And she was plugging some soap or some hairspray or something. You remember?
Or are we coming back? Yeah.
If you just joined us, this vision Miss Diane Carroll, we have Crystal Reeve and Tony Delia and Marie Earle, and you look sensational.
Oh, thank you. That's
Just when you
really
walked out,
nice.
that opening alone is worth the whole admission to the show tonight. Well, I didn't mean that. It costs nothing to get in, but if there was an admission, that would be worth it.
That was a pretty song, too.
Isn't it gorgeous?
That's a Barry Manilow. Marty Panzer wrote the
He
lyrics.
is a talented young man,
Isn't
isn't he? Yeah.
Terribly feeling to be so young.
But it's nice, you know, to see that, because I remember not too many years ago when I was working in Las Vegas, I took in as an opening act Bette Midler at the time.
That's right.
And
I
at
got
that-
these shoes from Bette Midler.
Yeah, really? Yeah. And at that time, Barry Manilow
Was her
She had like
conductor.
4 guys with her who were accompanying. Barry Manilow was the conductor and piano player.
That's
And she
right.
said at that time, she says, you know, she had a good eye for talent. And she said, this guy is going to be a major, major star. And boy, was she right.
She was
and so
absolutely
she
right.
became the same thing.
Yes, I saw her during that period. As a matter of fact, I saw her show in New York, and she gave him a spot in the show in New
Yeah.
York, which I thought was lovely for her to do that.
I
And
mean,
then,
remember the first time that the audience at the Sahara, because they hadn't seen Bette, and they weren't quite ready for her bizarre...
you have to get ready for
And-
this.
oh, you had to be ready. The musicians were going crazy, and she would walk out in those outfits, you know, saying, hello, it's Miss Tacky. And some of the people just sat there. I said, what is that, Martha? And it was hysterical. She was wonderful, but she just wasn't yet, you know, well-known in the public.
Well, I enjoy her better in concert.
Oh, she's...
Because then the audience knows what they've come to see, and it's a fun evening, because she's a very talented woman.
Yes, she is. I haven't seen you working around much lately. You're kind of keeping a low profile, aren't you?
Well, I have been. Actually, I've been traveling,
Right.
staying away from this area a little bit. But not in this outfit, but I've been doing primarily...
That's what you call a performing outfit,
This
right?
is a performing outfit. You don't have a few friends over for dinner in this outfit.
No, you have one friend over there. It's just not a group outfit, that's
That's a
all.
wonderful idea. I hadn't
Sure.
thought of that. This is
If you have a man over the house, would you open the door wearing something like this?
I hadn't thought about that. If I
Well,
had
let's
a
think
man
about
over
it a
the
while.
house, when I open the...
Yeah, because this is the new fashion, the more leg, and
That's
you have
right.
nice long legs.
It would depend on my...
Oh, they're long.
I love it. I love
Long
it.
legs.
You would think we haven't been looking at each other for 18 years.
Yeah.
I love it. But I don't... It depends on the guy.
Sure, sure.
And it depends on what I want from the guy.
Ah, yes.
And I think I've said enough about that.
I think, in other words, it depends on the level of emotional involvement that you
Yes.
that you want for the particular evening.
That's
What are
true.
you most comfortable in?
What am I most comfortable
Yeah, when you're just sitting around the house or going shopping. Jeans?
No. Strangely enough, I don't like jeans.
You've always been recognized as being pretty much fashion conscious, and you
Yes.
wear clothes beautifully.
Yes, I enjoy clothes very, very much. What am I most... I love bathing suits around the house. Love to just put on my little bikini and run around the house.
Excuse me.
I do.
Shouldn't do silly little things.
I really do. I think it's very comfortable, and the gardener, everybody gets it. What has she got on? Or is she wearing anything? But actually, it's the most comfortable, and also you just throw it in the, in the washing machine. And I make a lot of friends that way.
Why shouldn't you? Why should you schlep around in a house coat or something? Eh?
No, I don't like house coats. I don't like house coats. Don't like rollers in the hair.
No.
And cream on the face is okay after he leaves.
Of course.
After he leaves. Little old-fashioned things like that. I don't know. Have women... You
you-
haven't changed.
are you
I mean, you still
basically
don't
not-
like rollers in the hair, do you?
Yeah.
You like rollers in the hair? Oh, because I
Well, you
think
know,
they're
before women
terrible.
get married, they wouldn't, most of them, now, this will sound chauvinistic, but most women, before they're married, while they're dating, wouldn't take off
Everything
their
is
makeup.
perfect.
They wouldn't take the makeup off in front of the guy.
If
right?
he stays till 5 in the morning, you stay
Makeup
absolutely
is
perfect.
on, right. Then,
Don't-
and I suppose the same thing is true with guys, their appearance. But after people get married, sometimes all of a sudden it's...
And it shouldn't. It's really
well, nobody
delicious.
expects their wife to run around in full makeup night and day.
But some sort of makeup is nice. Fantasy is nice. And it helps us to get through reality. Reality can sometimes be pretty heavy and hit you in the nose. I like a little false eyelashes and a little titillation. I think it makes life more... You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
He knows.
Sure, I know what you mean. In other
There's
words,
fun in it from the...
people should really kind of flirt with each other.
Oh,
in a way.
definitely.
Yeah.
Flirtation is in. I think when
But
it's
see, now
time for them-
the women's movement would say, no, no, no. Women should, be independent, and they should not, flirt with men and be sex objects and so forth.
Now,
There's nothing wrong with being a sex object if you're a good-looking female, isn't
Well, let me make this perfectly clear.
Yes.
I think seduction has to take place on both parts. Now, if you are coming from the office, oh yeah, I want to be seduced just as much as I enjoy seducing, and I don't like the guy to come home from the office looking like I've had a terrible. No, throw some cold water on your face.
You don't always want to be the seducee. You want to be the seducer.
Absolutely. And the more he has that on his mind, the more and the more fun there is for the two of us.
Yeah, in fact.
Hi, Johnny.
Bathing suit in the house. Working on that. I saw something in the paper today now. I think Givenchy, am I pronouncing the name right?
Givenchy.
Givenchy.
I think. What do I know?
Well, the designer, he's one of the big designers, along with Halston and many others, of course. Coming out now with big shoulders and a whole new look. Now, are you one of the people who goes along because, say, 5 or 6 of the top designers in the world come out, Dior or Yves Saint Laurent or Givenchy, and says, okay, ladies, it's broad shoulders and with a small waist and the hems are coming down to the ankles? I see why they do it, because they sell clothes.
Yes.
And they establish what is known as high fashion around the world. But, they always look like the Joan Crawford
I think we really have to
shoulders.
be very careful, particularly when it comes to couture, because very often it's not the kind of thing that I'm back to the same thing again, the male-female relationship. It's not the kind of thing that your man is going to be able to relate to.
Yeah.
And it's not always that... Clothes are not just to be clothes. They're there for a purpose. And if they are there to make both of you, as I said earlier, comfortable and have a good time, then I don't think any man wants too many things in the way. I know I don't want too many things in the way. I wouldn't like it if a man walked around with big shoulders and a teeny-weeny waist. I would probably say you're in the wrong house, You're looking for the fella down the street. But,
Okay, let's move along to the international monetary situation. And we have to do a break here, and then I think Ed has an interview with somebody.
Oh.
Ed has to interview somebody.
Is it someone I know?
I don't think so.
No.
It's
I look
little-known
forward to
profession in the
that.
United States, but very important.
He's never been on television before, this person.
Oh, how exciting.
Yes,
Ed.
it will be. We're going to take
Anyone can do it?
I can do it.
You can do
I
it.
can do it. We'll be right back after this.
Thank you. Friends, the western states have always been the primary area for sheep herding in the United States. Now, many of these shepherds are Basques from Spain. However, immigration laws have caused a very serious shortage of shepherds in this country. Now, to find out more about the life of the shepherd, we took our mini cameras here to Colorado to speak with an actual shepherd. Will you please welcome Francesco Bethlehem?
I really like these sheep. They're really nice.
Welcome, Mr. Bethlehem.
Nice to see you.
Would you tell our viewers the...
Aren't you going to say hello or anything?
I said welcome.
I didn't hear that.
You didn't hear me. I said welcome, Mr. Bethlehem.
Oh, thank you
Would
very
you
much,
mind
yes.
telling our viewers the different kinds of sheep?
Yes, a young sheep, you see, is known as a lamb.
Oh. What about a ram?
That's an old shepherd's joke.
Oh.
ram. The ram, of course, is a male.
And what about a ewe?
What about me? What about...
No.
What about you? What do you mean? I am, of course,
you-
I'm a male. I'm a male.
Yeah,
Yes,
you. But
see?
ewe is a female sheep. Is that not true?
What?
A female sheep is a ewe. Is that not right?
Is it ever? Oh, boy, that's really right.
How
Yes.
can you tell the difference between the male sheep and the female sheep?
Well, you can tell the difference mainly at night.
At night.
Yeah, the female sheep develops a headache. That way we can tell real quick which sheep is what.
I notice you don't have any black sheep.
Well, I used to have 3.
Are you doing any crossbreeding?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. Because if you didn't ask that, I got no joke, have we? I just crossed a lamb with an oil company president.
And what did you get?
I got a sheep that clips you. Please. Come back here, Fred. Back here, Fred. That sheep is always lost. That's Fred. Fred is never can find Fred when we look for him. He goes into the hills and he gets sick and feels bad, throws up a lot. Stay there, Fred.
What is that thing in your hand called?
That's my staff.
Oh, isn't it also called a crook?
This is not a crook. You'll get lonely up here. You do impressions occasionally.
What is sheep dip?
What?
Sheep dip. What is sheep
Well,
dip?
when sheep get together tonight socially,
Yeah.
it's like hors d'oeuvres. They make up this thing and they put chips in it.
Now, cattlemen and sheep herders have always had problems, range wars.
See?
Are there still any problems?
No. In fact, cowboys and shepherds were a lot alike. You see, cowboys, they love their horses, and we shepherds, we love our sheep. Of course, cowboys have to be a lot taller to love their horses. And we do, because, you see, I'll clear this. You see, they have to get up to kiss a horse.
Oh, that much higher. I
They have to get up
understand.
much
Yes.
higher.
Now, there's no radio or television here. What do you?
I don't see any.
No, none around here.
They just put
What?
it in.
No.
Did you
I
see
can't
a
see
TV
it.
set?
No, I don't see anything.
Right.
No aerials on the mountains.
Right.
What do you do to amuse yourself?
But that, of course, is a big problem. So what I do, sometimes I take an electric razor and I shave obscene words into the side of my sheep.
What is the worst part of being all by yourself?
It's very tough to get group insurance.
Is there wool?
But you have a question you're going to ask me, and I know that.
Yes. Is there wool kinky?
Yes, and so is their shepherd. That one.
But you seem to like your sheep.
Sheep are very generous animals. They give you the shirt off their back.
Shirt off
They'll
their
give you
back?
let me show you what I mean. If you hold my sheep here
Surely.
a second. I got some clippers right here. You gotta hold them.
I got him.
There. They would like you to have that as a gift.
That's cute. Thank you.
Thank you. It's got the union label there. What? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Is this the loneliest job you've ever had?
No, I had another job that was much more lonely.
What job was that?
I was the president of the James Schlesinger fan club. Boy, that's a lonely job. Can I have that back?
Surely, please.
Thank you.
Have you ever been married?
Well, see, but my wife, she left me about 12 years ago.
Why did your wife leave you?
She caught me fooling around with another species. Boy, that really can hurt the wife.
Yes. It must be lonely never
It's
to be.
getting lonelier here.
Must be lonely never to be with a woman.
Well, I'm getting desperate. Earlier today, I placed a long-distance call to the village people, the singing group. Boy, and you're desperate to meet people when you want to call them.
If not having...
The hills are not alive with the sound of laughter, are they? Sometimes you can hear laughter coming over from other camps, over the hills and the mountains, but
Not
today,
tonight.
Not tonight. No, you sometimes get an echo.
if having no female companionship bothers you so much, why did you become a shepherd?
But you see, that's a family tradition. My father, he was a shepherd.
No, wait a minute.
Yes?
You said
Well, wait
shepherds
2
are...
minutes if you want
You
me
said
to.
shepherds are never around women, yet your father was a shepherd. What was your mother?
Who was my mother?
Or who was your mother?
That's better. That's going to help a lot. Well, I can only tell you when I found out who my mother was, I felt very bad. I better get going. I should have gotten going before, but I have to leave now.
What is the matter?
Well, the sheep are getting restless, and I got to get the flock out of here. Come along.
Toby, you said this person had never been on television. You know that man has never been on television before. There he is. An actual shepherd.
I couldn't believe it. Johnny, while you were gone, there was a man. He looked so much like
A
you.
shepherd showed up?
Yes.
Shepherd showed
He's
up.
from another, but it might be a relative.
I got to tell you what's happened this afternoon. We have about 20 minutes in the afternoon to rehearse something. Originally, we had 4 sheep.
Right.
And all they did, all afternoon, was bah, bah, bah. We figured, gee, that'll be very funny tonight.
Yeah.
Because right on the punchlines, every time we were running the jokes, the sheep, and tonight,
Not a
one bar.
sound.
nothing. They must have known it's live or something. They said, cool it,
Not their
Harry.
union. It's not their union.
We're not getting paid to
All
talk.
after, they're not getting paid. No lines. They ain't going to bat. Nothing.
I don't want to know. About
Anyway, we are back. My next guest, I'm sure you all know. Before he did Superman, which I guess really made him well known to audiences all over the world, he had been in about 90 different stage productions, and he just completed a film called Somewhere in Time. He's off to England, where he'll film Superman Part 2. Would you welcome Christopher Reeve? Chris. Isn't that nice to hear all that?
That's very nice.
Screaming and yelling and so forth.
You know, I haven't seen you since the night of the April 9th in the Academy Awards.
Academy Award
and,
night, right.
We ran into each other there, and I just want to say that I think for the first time in the history of awards, ever since I was a little kid, I've been watching. It was funny, and it moved, and it was a total delight.
Thank you.
It was really,
That's nice.
you know?
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So it's nice to be there. It really was.
That was an interesting evening from many standpoints. Of course, since then, John Wayne has died. And I've never told this on the air before. I was going to tell it, I think, a couple of days after he died, and I didn't want to do it because it almost sounded a little maudlin, but I didn't know John Wayne really well. I've seen him at social functions. He's been on the show, and we'd rapped, you know, here and there. But to show you the kind of a man he is, and this says something about the character of the guy, that he went to the hospital, you know, immediately after that, and really never came out of the hospital. In about 10 days after the Academy Awards, I got this letter at home. It says, John Wayne. And I said, my gosh, and I opened it, and it was a note from John Wayne saying, just says, Dear Johnny, I just wanted to tell you how appreciative I was, how gracious you were to me, and how comfortable you made me feel during the Academy Awards, and you did a wonderful job, and signed Duke Wayne. And I said, my God, I said, here's a guy who's got all of these personal problems, you know, and still took time out while he was in the hospital to send a note like that.
Yeah,
it meant a great deal, and that was special coming. I really kind of, you know, people can do things, but boy, when you do them when you're down like that, it's something else. Anyway, you're going to Superman Part 2. How do you follow that? It was such a big smash.
Well, I've always been concerned about that because we're living in the age of the ripoff, really, you know, where people say, let's see, now we get all those people back again, and it's 10 years later, and now they're married, and we'll figure out, and we'll, how do we write out Dreyfus and how to whatever, you
But
know?
Jaws 2 pulled it off.
They
and,
did
you know,
indeed.
and they
In
did
fact,
it well.
I've just worked for the director, Jeannot Swark, a very talented man who came in and bailed out Jaws 2 when it was really in trouble and made it a big hit. And, but I'm concerned that there was such nice response on the part of the public to Superman 1, and I sort of feel that once you have flown and fallen in love and turned the world backwards, what are you going to do for an encore, you know? And I'm concerned that we don't, you know, that they don't get in Bozo the Clown to direct it and let's pick up pieces off the cutting room floor and put it together. And,
In other words, do something classy.
Yeah, and continue, because there's a real allegiance on the part of the audience. This character's been around for 40 years. People
Isn't it
know
funny
him,
how they had a
love him.
resurgence, a rebirth, practically?
Absolutely, and I think we stand a chance if we keep our act together of making a sequel that can be as good as the first one.
You know, it's a delicate line, as you well know, to draw the line between out-and-out camp, having fun, and reality, and to blend those things so it doesn't become an all-out silliness, has a little bit of reality in it, although you have to suspend reality, obviously.
You know what I found with the ingredients for the character? To play Superman, it's 90% costume. You know, 90% let the costume do the work, and the other 10% is a sense of humor.
Yeah.
So that if this man can do all these amazing things, he must not be impressed with himself. He must be very laid back. You know, he must say like, "Why, yes, I fly." You know, and there's no, you know, there's no big deal about it. It's not like,
yes,
boom,
I am.
You know, I'm gonna knock your heads together. You know,
Yes,
none of
I
that
am
stuff.
faster than a speeding bullet.
But
I mean, that's
very,
just
very low key.
Did you see the sketch we did one night?
Yes. Oh no, the Superman. I thought you were talking about the sheep.
No.
Last time I followed Rodney Dangerfield. This time I follow a sheep.
We did a sketch one night on what would happen. It was the honeymoon of Lois Lane. And
I know what's coming.
And,
I didn't see it, but I know what's coming.
Yeah, and we had the honeymoon, and he carries her into the hotel suite, and she doesn't know who he is, of course. She's married Clark Kent. And I jumped behind the little thing, and I took off, and she's lying in bed with a negligee, and I come out, and I have the costume on. And she says, Clark, you're really Superman. He says, that's right, Lois. We jump in bed, the lights go out. They're out for about 3 seconds. Lights come on, and we're sitting there. She turns and says, well, you are faster than a speeding bullet.
He wrote the whole sketch just for that.
We had nothing else in the sketch except we build up just to that one line. I said, that's worth it. We got to do it. Now, sometimes when my staff tells me things about people, I think it's almost like a setup. But I understand when you were growing up, your parents did not want you to watch television very much.
Absolutely.
Was it completely verboten or just selective
was not
or what?
an ingredient in the house. You know, like some people don't have wall-to-wall carpeting. We just didn't have a television, you know?
That was by choice. They
the
didn't
only time I ever got to see television was when we went around the corner to these people named the Forbes and were left off for babysitting. And the first place we'd go was right to the basement. We'd watch Zorro, Sky King, Bat Masterton, and episodes of Superman.
Did your folks feel that it was just educationally that it was
brain damaging? Absolutely. And I tell you something, there's a kind of a myth that goes around the way people bring up kids a lot today that if the kid's happy, if he's quiet and occupied, you know, put him with a blanket or a coloring book and watch TV and he's happy. But my parents held out a kind of higher standard than that, which is that a kid comes out not knowing too much and he should be taught things. So we had a very magnetic father. He can do anything from play Parcheesi to ski and translate Dostoevsky, and he made learning fun. So we learned how to ski, we learned how to paint, we learned how to play the piano, we learned, you know, a lot of things. And then later, when you get older, when you're 15 or 16 or something, say, I hate that, and you can give it up. But when you first come on the scene, you don't really know too much, and I really respect my parents for making learning fun, and television was not part of it.
Yeah, either that or they Either that or parents should be very selective in what young children watch and say, all right, you can watch this show for 1 hour a day and say, hey, that's it.
Yeah, just because a kid's quiet does not mean that he's happy or that he's learning, you know?
That could mean he's also dead.
He's not stopped breathing and just jumped in his blanket.
If you don't check it.
It's completely the responsibility of the parent.
Sure it is.
Because whatever goes into your head is the individual that we are turning into an adult.
Yeah, and the point is that later you can come along and make choices and say, God, I can't draw to save my life. I always, in drawing class in school, you know, the teachers, you draw a picture of a barn and your dog Spot and a tree and stuff, and you'd bring it up. I try to finish really fast, you know, and I'd bring it up. She'd say, no, put more clouds in the sky, or put the tree over there, or put Spot over there. And it was like programming how to do art. I lost interest in it completely.
Because it was too regimented.
But then on the other hand, I asked for piano lessons. I went to my mother when I was 8.
Did you stay with it?
Yeah, I still play. I've played for 20 years now.
You see, my folks and they meant well. Didn't force me, but I was kind of pushed.
Well, who taught you magic? Did you?
That was an interest I took up when I was a kid, you know. I read a book one day about how to amaze your friends and be the hit of the party. I said, I'd like to be the hit of the party. No, I wasn't immediately the hit of the party, but I was shy when I was a kid. And magic was a way to overcome that and kind of be the center of attention and kind of hide behind the role of the magician.
Yeah.
But my folks sent me to, I can still remember her name, Cora Beals.
School of Magic?
No, the piano teacher. Cora, when I even went, was a little long in the tooth. She was, and it was 25 cents a week.
Wow.
25 cents a lesson. And I didn't stay with it. I got through the John L. Williams second piano book.
All right.
Do you remember the John L.?
Johnny Thompson, I think it is. The piano book. Everyone's graded. It's a red book, and you first.
No. This was John L. Williams, and it was. I played Up the Hill, Down the Hill.
Did you get to the spin
row
it
your
song?
boat.
What?
Did you play the spin it song or the spinning song?
No.
Oh, you missed out. That was the real.
That was a hit.
Yeah, that was the important.
If I'd just got to the spinning song, it'd been a whole new life for me.
Forever.
Now you can sit and play and enjoy it,
Yeah.
and I never got to that point. I guess my folks should have stayed on me a little harder. I should have really.
Well, maybe they were giving you the right to make your own choices.
That's true, but I think sometimes the parents have to push a little bit. Now they're probably watching. They'll say, "Hey, he's turning on us.
That's right.
We give him everything." That was my fault. I didn't really have any interest in it.
Well, all right, you're right. It's a little bit of everyone's fault. Sometimes it's not presented in a way that it's really fun.
Well, I didn't like Miss Beals. She was Miss Beals. Miss Beals had a ruler. You see, and I don't think that's the way to teach piano. When you go, and Miss Beals would say the white key.
Oh. She saw too many James Mason movies.
Yeah, and I think Miss Beals, my knuckles grew very large, and I didn't say what. You fly your own plane?
Yes, I do. It's one of the coincidences of playing Superman. I keep doing all this talk about, well, I'm really an actor, folks, and they didn't find me on the beach
also
and all
a
that
pilot.
stuff. And then the first thing that happens, I have to come out and talk about flying because it's my #1 passion in life, and that doesn't help any. But I've always loved flying, and I fly my own plane, and I fly my own glider. I have a 15-meter standard class sailplane, and I can be found most days about 15,000 feet over El Mirage. You know?
Isn't that a great feeling? That's
Kinda
one of
nice.
the few things you can
Saves
do.
a lot on drugs, you know?
Yeah. No, don't tell me Superman is. No.
He didn't say that.
No, but those of us, and Ed's a pilot, and I have a pilot's license.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Those of us who fly, it's like scuba diving. It's one of those few things you can still do on your own, in which you are not connected with anybody else, and
I was invited by, my plane is a Beechcraft, and I was invited by Mrs. Olive Beach, who runs the factory and built with her husband the first Stagger Wing and Travel Air in 1924, invited to come by the factory, and I was there yesterday or the day before, and I brought my plane, I have a Bonanza, to see where it was made, and the plane was so happy to see where it came from, you know, and I said, if you don't behave yourself, I'll have you stripped down for parts.
should have taken a card back there for Father's Day or something.
Right.
Well, that's funny. You've got a lot of interest then.
Yeah, I fly planes, I fly gliders, and...
You would like scuba diving then? If you like flying. I think you'd like scuba
There's an
diving.
interesting thing. You must never mix, apparently, you must never mix scuba diving with flying because of the difference in pressure. I don't know if anybody dies, but if you go underneath, a lot of people have been very badly hurt and gotten the bends and stuff because they fly to a resort and they scuba dive and get in the plane and the pressure kills them. You know, it's...
Yeah, that's that great contrast. Yeah. So don't do that.
Yes, right. Next time you...
Physical things like that, I've never part of my... I do not swim. I have a license. It's a driver's license.
But you do have a bathing suit.
I do have a bathing suit.
Closer to her house.
That's close
right?
enough. It's not important that you swim if you have a bathing suit.
Well, I found that I use the bathing suit a great deal for other purposes.
Right.
But I do envy people. You are a sneaky
Yes, they
girl,
are.
do you
That's
know?
right. Who let them in here?
But there's so many things I miss. I would love to be able to go down and look at the coral. And
You can
so on.
learn that. It's very simple. Take a few lessons.
Yeah.
Take a few lessons from a qualified instructor, and
Is
they
there
teach you
a
in your
way
own
to
pool.
do that without getting the water over your face?
No, if you don't want If you are chicken of the sea, yes. But otherwise, you can't do that. Boy, you got to pull them out from... Something else I didn't know. You and Robin Williams were classmates or went to the same school together?
That's right. We were in the advanced program at the Juilliard School of Drama. And there was certainly nothing they could teach him. You know, the first performance I ever saw him do was he played the old man in Tennessee Williams' Night of the Iguana. And he uses that character sometimes now in his own act. But we used to have speech class together with this lady named Edith Skinner, who's taught everybody from John Barrymore on down. And at 8 in the morning, we'd be there going tick, 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 ting, tick, 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 ting, you know, working on your T's and doing speech exercises and stuff. And Robin was...
I don't see him falling into that too easily.
No, Robin is somebody that, see, what drama school can do is make you an ensemble actor, and they've produced, Juilliard is one of the best schools in the country and produces a very high level of training. You learn how to move, fencing, mime, tumbling, acrobatics, acting, but Robin Williams has such special originality that it would be a waste if he were grooved into the norm, you know what I mean? He's one of those special people that should be left on his own.
He's a stream of consciousness type of performer, and he's when he's on, he can really be extremely, extremely funny. But you have to let somebody that really know, then you shouldn't try to...
Absolutely.
I admire Mindy just for standing there.
Just not an easy task.
Oh, it's a difficult thing to do. She's in the presence of a genius, really.
Well, Ed has the same problem. I really felt small saying that, but somebody had.
Somebody else. It's not hurting
And
too bad.
since nobody was going to, I figured, what the hell? It's my show. We'll be right back. My next guest is a young comedian, Tony DeLea appears frequently at the Comedy and Magic Club in Hermosa Beach, and he's going to be there the 1st and 2nd of next month, and again the first week of September. He's a member of a group called the Off the Wall Theater Company, and I think this is his 3rd time with us on the show. Would you welcome Tony DeLea? Tony?
Thank you very much, and good evening. I'd like to start off by saying a lot of very nice things have happened to me since the last time I did the show. One of them is that they did ask me back, which I appreciate. The second thing is that the reaction of the show is very powerful. The following day, everyone I saw came over to me and said, "Boy, we saw you on television. We thought you were tall." Well, I don't like to consider myself as short. I prefer to think of myself as concise. Do we have any concise people here this evening? Anyone? Good. Stand on the chair, raise your hand. Anyone? See, if you're small, you have to be careful what you wear. Now, tall people could wear just about anything. Remember about a year ago, jumpsuits were very, very popular, right? And you see a tall guy in a jumpsuit, he looks great. Or a short guy in a jumpsuit looks like a hand puppet. Because of my size, though, I'm usually very easily intimidated, especially when I get pulled over for a traffic violation. The police are so big out here. They're really enormous sequoia cops is what they are. You know he's big when he stops your car and he puts his foot on your hood. You know that's big, right? But it's not just their size which is intimidating, it's their whole manner. Their attitude is very official. When they pull you over for a traffic violation, they show no emotion whatsoever. They come over to you like this. Want to step out of the car? Want to pick up my motorcycle? Want to roll it off my foot? Okay, buddy. Walk a straight line. Want to get off your knees and walk it? Okay, pal, blow up this balloon. Blow harder. Blow harder. Harder. Try the other end. Thank you. Nothing shakes him, you know? There are many, many times in life when everyone feels awkward, especially me. I always feel awkward in singles bars, because it's just, a singles bar is no place for a short guy. Let me tell you, elbows in the eye a lot, you know? It's really true, but you can tell when a guy is nervous in a singles bar, because men, we're very funny. When a man is nervous, we always try to overcompensate to hide that. You see, it's like what I'm doing now is an example of it. You can always tell, though. Here's a guy who walks into a singles bar, and you know he's uptight, and he's trying really desperately to hide it, and he walks in, he's very slick and cool like this. Bartender, scotch and sake. Now, what is that? Thank you. I think about it. Why do people go to singles bars? They're looking for love. If you think about it, love is a great force in this world. Great literature is always based around romantic couples, such as Popeye and Olive Oil. You like Popeye and Olive Oil? Yeah, so do I. They're one of the few long-lasting relationships in comic book world, you know. I always think about Olive Oil, though. Did you ever think about what kind of woman would be attracted to a guy like Popeye? You know, let's face it, ladies, if you were sitting in a singles bar, would you be impressed by a guy who came over like this?
Skibble a bubble skew. You could tell by the way I use my walk of a ladies' man.
Not too cool. Dating. Now, there's a choice subject for embarrassing situations. I used to date this gal who lived in Hollywood. She was a very nice gal, and I really liked her, but she had a dog. Now, I really like animals, but that first date is very important. And it's very embarrassing when you go on your first date and you're standing in the doorway, and you're with the girl, and you're really trying hard to make a good impression, and the dog is there sniffing your lap. I always pretend I'm petting him, you know. Nice fella, good boy. Good fella. Put your tongue in, boy. Good fella. Nice boy, isn't he? Cute. What beautiful. What kind of dog is he? Retriever? Hope not. So it's very important to try and be relaxed most of the time, and I really wanted to do good for you people tonight. So what I did was, on the way over here, I had a flash, and I stopped at a record shop, and I purchased one of these meditation tapes, and it guarantees to relax you momentarily. And I thought it would be a good idea just to pop this in, and it might help myself feel more relaxed. So if you don't mind, I'd like to play it for you right now.
Hello. This is the Evelyn Wood School of Speed Yoga. In the next 30 seconds, you will learn how to reach the peace and tranquility that can only be found in a mental void. Ready? Begin. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Faster, faster, faster. Now, take a deep breath. Deeper, deeper, deeper. Now, run in place. Hot, 2, 3, 4. Hot, 2, 3, 4. Hot, 2, 3, 4. Hot, 2, 3, 4. Company. Halt. Extend your right arm and make a fist.
Make a fist?
Place your left hand on top of that fist and press down.
Press down.
Harder.
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 I'm pushing harder.
Now, let go. Now we have reached total relaxation with the Evelyn Wood School of Speed.
Young man's name is Tony D'Elia. Nice to have him with us. We'll be right back after this, and Marie Earle will join us. This charming lady sitting to my right just celebrated her 90th birthday this spring, and she's very active. This is Marie Earle, and she has a new movie coming out, folks. She's still working, called Fatso, with Anne Bancroft and our good friend Dom DeLuise. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, was that a fun picture?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know, he was telling you about your performance at the Academy Awards, and I loved that too. But you did a performance later that I was so thrilled over because there was so much discussion after that. Were you going to quit or weren't you going to quit? And the papers, people would send me clippings from the East and all, and I thought, you were out, weren't you, with a bad back or something?
Yeah, for a while.
And you came back, and I thought, gee, I wonder how he's going to handle it. Oh, you came across so wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, I was so proud.
That's my girl. That's nice. How have you been? You're working?
I've just been real good. Honestly, I couldn't complain at all. You know, Jenny said to me today, she said, are you keeping cool? And I said, yes. And she said, how did you keep cool before they had,
air conditioning and all that?
Air conditioning.
Yeah, we're so spoiled in this modern age.
Yeah, and I said, we sat in the shade.
And you had fans.
What? Yeah, oh, we had palm leaf fans. They put them all over the church, you know. Everybody sat through the sermon frantically fanning. You couldn't hardly hear the preacher for the wash of the palm leaf. What did you do on the farm to keep cool?
Well, I lived in a small town, but in those
did you?
We had electricity, but it was just, a regular fan. We had no air conditioning, except the local theater was the only place in town. I do remember.
Everybody used to go to there.
Yeah, and they had big icicles drawn outside, like banks, and it says air conditioned. And every Saturday we'd go right to the theater. It was the only place in town that was air conditioned. But when you were a kid, there was no air conditioning at all, right?
Well, I brought you something because she also wondered how we toasted and how we did things.
And I saw this sitting here a while ago, and I said, what the heck is this thing? And now, obviously, this is something that you brought.
Yeah, I found that. I think I must have found it at a second-hand store. I've had it since I lived out here.
Now, this is the way they used to toast?
Yeah, that's the way.
What would they do?
Well, you see, you put 4 pieces of bread on this little thing here.
Yeah.
And if you have a burner, you set it over the burner. If you don't have a burner, if you have a coal stove, you just set it on the heat. And it toasts awful quick. It burns awful quick. I have used it a few times.
But you have to turn the slices.
No, you lift them off with your hand.
But it does one side, and then you turn the bread around
Yeah,
and toast the other.
This had 4 pieces of bread. And I was talking to her, and I said, oh, I think I've got something that just shows what we used to do.
That's an antique now. You know, I remember going to my grandmother's house on my father's side, and she had the old stove with the lifters and burned wood and corn cobs. That was the fuel. And she would cook a dinner on that, I mean, bake, and you say, no thermostats, you know, they just learned. And it was wonderful. You know, cooking on things like that. Didn't seem to bother them at all. And there was a pump in the kitchen. They got the water from the well. How old were you when you first got electricity?
I think I must have been about 12 years old or something like that, because when we first moved in our home that we built, they didn't have it, but they got the house ready. Same, we didn't have a bathroom, but it was piped there. So when we got the water down there, that we couldn't have a bathroom, and they used to do that.
Was that a bigger change, getting an indoor bathroom and getting electricity?
Oh, yes, it was lots nicer than going to the privy.
The privy, yeah.
But you know,
that's the same as an outhouse, isn't it? A privy? Yeah.
And then, you know, they got so, I don't know why, that was a man's name. I bet Fred knows. Why did they call him Chick Sales?
Chick Sales?
Sales was a comedian.
Well, he was a comedian.
And a writer, yeah.
And I don't know why they got, but they call it Chick Sale.
Maybe he made jokes about it or something in those days. It could be.
He also had a book, a small book by Chick Sales about outhouse jokes.
I remember now that you think of it.
Pretty racy stuff, huh? Whiz-bang, wow. How was it in the winter when you had to go to the privy?
Well, I have a cousin that had a fur-lined one.
Fur-lined what?
Well, the seat was fur-lined because that was cold, boy, I'm telling you.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. We're going to be right back, though. We're back. We're talking with Marie Earl about... You know, it really wasn't so long ago that a lot of inventions came in. I remember my mother had one of the old-fashioned washing machines where you took the clothes out of the washer and put them through the wringer, and then they'd go into one tub of lukewarm water, and then you would put them through another wringer and go into a tub of cooler water, all of those things.
Well, before we had that, we used to sometimes have a wringer. It would be between the two tubs. But before that, you know, you'd wash them on the washboard, then you'd put them in a boiler. And you'd put a lot of soap in that boiler, and it was white clothes you boil. Boy, were they sanitary. And you'd boil them, and then you'd take them out on the end of a piece of a broom handle or something, and you'd hold them up this way and let them dangle, you know. Then you'd put them over in a tub of cold water. Then you'd wring them from that cold water into blue water, and then you'd hang them out.
Yeah. All of that work.
Oh, it was really something. And then when it came to ironing, you had those stat irons, you know. They were all iron. You had, like, people have pot holders on the top. And you'd have them on the back of the stove. You'd iron all day long. Everything. Socks were ironed. I don't hardly have an iron in my hands anymore.
Yeah, isn't that nice?
And pillowcases were starched and shining and everything.
Now, Diane talked about when she does homework or she's around the house, she likes to wear a bathing suit. Now, that would have been something you would never have done, right?
Oh, heavens, no.
Can you say yourself?
If you went to the beach, you had to wear long black stockings.
I know that's true because I wanted to wear a bathing suit during my grandmother's lifetime. And
I don't mind the long black stockings.
Well, she wouldn't allow it. And also, my grandmother felt that it was unladylike for any young lady to be seen any place in a bathing suit. She didn't mind if it came almost to the knee. But then I only visited my grandmother for very short periods and not very often.
Yeah.
Did your grandmother live in Columbus?
My grandmother lived in North Carolina.
Oh, did she? Well, I don't know.
I saw all of the things that you were talking about, all the boiling and the...
Did you really?
She did all of it. She was the cleanest woman in America.
Did you know your grandmother?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. But my grandmother was pretty lenient. I mean, she wasn't like some grandmother. But you know, the funny thing of it was that my grandmother smoked a pipe.
Oh, come on now. Now it's coming out. I've been trying to uncover some vices in your family.
And it was a little clay pipe, and it was about that big. And I used to go to the grocery store and pay 5 cents for a package of wigwam tobacco.
Wigwam tobacco?
And her daughters felt so terrible. So when they used to line us kids up when my grandmother had to give up her home and come live with her 3 daughters. Now, don't you ever give it away that my mother smoked.
That was sinful in
But
those
she
days.
was a doll. After she ate, she'd get in her rocking chair
And I'll bet
light
she
her little
lived-
old pipe and sit there.
And I'll bet
Oh,
she lived to an old age, didn't she?
Yes, she did. She was a wonderful person.
Mm.
We'll be back in a moment. Stay where you are.
I loved you trying to portray your grandmother. That was the funniest thing. All of a sudden, you tried to talk like a little old lady, and you didn't know how.
For heaven's sakes. How old do you have to get to be a little old lady?
You'll never get there. Hey, thank you for coming. It's always a delight
thanks.
to
I
have
love
you
it.
here.
I love it.
Come back with us often. Chris, thank you. Have a wonderful trip to England.
Thank you very much.
And Diane, thank you. You're going to be with the symphony in Palo Alto the 5th.
That's
and
right.
in San
The
Francisco
4th
on.
and 5th, I will be up in Langley with the symphony.
So thanks for coming.
Good night.
I'm humbled by that applause.